So Geshe has gone in a prayer function, should be here in 15-20 minutes, and he asked us to start prayers. Maybe we can do prostration, light offering, we know. And then Ankita will lead the prayers today.
Just hold on.
With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all.
With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries too. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries too. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries too. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries too. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries too. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries too. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries too. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries too. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries too. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries too. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries too. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries too. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries too. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries too. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries too. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries too. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the lamp of Dharma for all bewildered mysteries too.
So we start the prayers by setting the proper motivation. And we visualize the refuge, Bodhicitta refuge field in front of us and the Bodhicitta field. And also we bring to mind the purpose of the practice. With these three things in our mind, we turn to page 3 of the prayer book. Enthused by great compassion, we taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, we taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness and no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught his peace, which is free of elaboration. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all leads hearers seeking pacification to complete peace, who through the knowledge of past causes those helping migrated to achieve the aims of the world, and who through the possession of omniscience and subdues expound a variety of teachings. The one who is transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata and protector, to you are my prostrations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays, to you the Buddha are my prostrations. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma and the Sangha, by my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Chodam Soki Chokram La Chancho Bardo Dagni Kapsuchi Dagi Jinsu Ki Pe Sognam Ki Jola Fenche Sangye Drupa Sho Sangye Chodam Soki Chokram La Chancho Bardo Dagni Kapsuchi Dagi Jinsu Ki Pe Sognam Ki Jola Fenche Sangye Drupa Sho Sangye Chodam Soki Chokram La Chancho Bardo Dagni Kapsuchi Dagi Jinso Ki Pe Sognam Ki Dola Pinchi Sangye Drupa Sho. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Te Shantata Gato Yavadat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vadi Mahashramanaye Swaha Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Tesham Tatagato Yavadat Tesham Chayo Evam Vadi Mahashramanaye Swaha Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Tesham Tatagato Yavadat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vadi Mahashramanaye Swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well is taught by the Great Sea. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear light and non-composite. Such is an nectar-like dharma I have discovered. Finding no one to fathom this teaching, in silence I will retire into the books. Beyond utterance, thought and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unbound, unceased, and has the nature of space. It is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of Buddhas of the three times, I pay obeisance. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source of all, I go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, please liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of the expanse of billions of eons. The Buddha does not wash the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of suchness that beings are liberated. With folded hands I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered in his school. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Next, page 14, the page to Shakyamuni Buddha. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the four-destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme amongst humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you, who are wise, then I prostrate. With pure bodies, forms supremely pure, wisdom oceans like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, you know the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With a supreme science, face like a spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust be like you, the 3 worlds are not. Incomparable wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you the Tathagata I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the Dharma that pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with the realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you the Sangha I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly, this is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, see conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the 4 faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Next, page 19, Sun illuminating the threefold faith. Praise to the 17 Nadana Masters. Born from the great compassion, aspiring to help all beings, God of gods, you have attained the Savior state of abandonment and realization, and you guide beings to the discourse of dependent origination. O Evala, the son of speech, I bow my head to you. I implore you at your feet, O Nagarjuna, most skilled in elucidating such mystery of elaborations, the meaning of sutras, the mother of conquerors. Through the profound reasoning of dependent origination, in accord with the conqueror's prophecy, you initiated the middle way, the supreme vehicle. I implore you to your principal son, Bodhisattva Deva, most learned and realized, who has crossed the ocean of Buddhist and non-Buddhist tenet systems, and is a crown jewel among those who uphold Nagarjuna's treatises. I implore you, O Buddha Bharita, who has reached the supreme adept state and who has clearly elucidated Arya Nagarjuna's intent, the final meaning of dependent origination, the profound point of mere designation and as mere way. I implore you, O Master Bhavaveka, fully accomplished Pandita, you initiated the philosophical tradition wherein by negating extremes of truly existing things, arising and so forth, you uphold commonly verified knowledge and external reality. I implore you, O Chandrakirti, who disseminated all the paths of Sutra and Tantra, you are most skilled in teaching the profound and the vast aspects of the middle way, the union of appearance and emptiness dispelling the 2 extremes, by means of dependent origination that is mere conditionality. I implore you, O Bodhisattva Shantideva, skilled at revealing to the assembly of fortunate spiritual trainings the excellent path of compassion that is greatly wondrous, through a multitude of reasoning most profound and vast. I implore you, Master Agachanta Rakshita, who initiated the tradition of the non-dual middle way in accordance with the trainee's mental disposition. Your birth in the reasoning modes of both middle way and logic, and you disseminate the complex teaching in the land of snows. I implore you at your feet, O Kandashiva, you who having explained excellently the stage of meditations of middle way you free of elaborations, and the union of tranquility and insight in accordance with Sutra and Tantra, flawlessly elucidated the complex teaching in the land of snows. I implore you at your feet, O Asanga, you who sustained by Maitreya, were versed in disseminating excellently all Mahayana scriptures, and taught the vast path, and who in accord with the conqueror's prophecy, initiated the tradition of mind only. I implore you to feed, O Master Vasubandhu, you who by upholding the systems of the seven Abhidharma teachers as well as non-duality, illuminate the tenets of Vaibhashika, Sautrantika and Maimonides. Foremost among learned ones, you renowned as the second omniscient. I implore you at your feet, O Dignan, the logician, you who, in order to present the Buddha's way through evidence-based reasoning, open 100-fold gateways of the system of logic, and offer as a gift to the world the eyes of critical intelligence. I implore you at your feet, O Dharmakirti, you who, understanding all the essential points of both Buddhist and non-Buddhist epistemology, brought conviction in all the profound and vast parts of Sautrantika and mind only by means of reasoning. You are most versed in teaching the excellent Dharma. I implore you at your feet, O Arya Muktisena, you who lit the lamp that illuminates the meaning of the ornament teaches, wherein the themes of the perfection of wisdom, stemming from Asanga and his brother were expounded, in accord with the middle way unity of the existence and non-existence. I implore you, O Master Haribhadra, who were prophesied by the conqueror as expounder of the meaning of the mother, perfection of wisdom. You elucidate the excellent treatise on the perfection of wisdom, the three mothers, in perfect accord with the instruction of the Savior Method. I implore you at your feet, O Gunaprabha, most excellent in both integrity and scholarship, who having excellently distilled the intent of 100,000 disciplinary teachings, expounded the individual liberation laws flawlessly according to the tradition of the Sarvastivada school. I implore you at your feet, O Shakraprabha, supreme upholder of discipline, who reign over the treasure of the qualities of the three training, in order to disseminate the stainless finger teachings for a long time. You excellently expounded the meaning of our treatises. I implore you, Jogo Adisha, you who have taught all the profound and vast traditions related to the words of the Buddha, within the framework of the path of the persons of three capacities, for the most kind master disseminating the Buddha's teaching in the land of snows. Having thus created these most learned ornaments of the world, the excellent sources of wondrous and insightful teachings, may I be blessed so that my mind becomes ripened and free through the entreaty I make with a mind unwavering and pure. By understanding the two truths in ontological reality, will we ascertain how, through the four truths we enter in deep samsara. I will make firm the faith in the three jewels that is born of valid reason. May I be blessed so that the root of the path of liberation is firmly established within me. May I be blessed to perfect the training in renunciation, an aspiration for liberation, the total pacification of suffering and its origin, as well as in an uncontrived bodhicitta that is rooted in an infinite compassion that wishes to protect all sentient beings. May I be blessed so that I may easily develop conviction in all the paths pertaining to the profound points of the perfection and Vajravaita by engaging in study, reflection and meditation on the meaning of the treatises of the great trailblazers. May I, in life after life, obtain excellent words that support the three trainings.
Continue.
And contribute to the teaching that equals the great trailblazers in upholding and disseminating the teaching of scripture and realization through engaging in exposition and meditative practice. May the members of all spiritual communities spend their time in learning, reflection and meditation, shunning non-liability. Through the proliferation of sublime masters, the great fates of the world be unified throughout all time. Through the power of this supplication, I traverse for Sutra and Tantra, and swiftly attain the state of conquerors or missions, characterized by spontaneous realization of the true purposes, may work for the welfare of sentient beings as long as space remains.
I think we just finished 17 Ananda Masters.
So what is left now?
Heart Sutra.
Next, page 31, Heart Sutra Mantra.
Bodhi Swaha
Okay, we are on page 95. Okay, page 95. What we're doing today is going to be a little technical. No doubt it's going to be a little technical, but bear in mind that despite it being technical, the point is see how much you can understand today, and then what I would suggest is that we go through the recordings once more, because it's going to be a little technical. Even if you think that you got it. When you go back, you read it again you will see that you get it'll become a little hazy. You visit the recordings once more, then it will become easier. So the and what we're reading is out of sheer say kindness, the warmth of the author Lama Tsongkhapa, that he was giving us the share of understanding the emptiness in a very concise way. It's about like one page. And it's a very concise, which in the monastic universities they spend like say the 3 years, in some cases 4 years after say like 7 years of intense debate, studies, memorization, classes, then the reading, reflection, meditation, and then after that 3 years intensely dedicated on this Madhyamaka text. And then what we are studying here is just in one page, which means that we cannot really expect. Even if you feel that you get lost, don't worry. The point is that while you are here in this hall and of the online participants, just be in the present moment and try to absorb as much as possible, and don't try to rationalize for the time being. The moment you try to rationalize, many things you will miss, many things which will be shared, you will miss them, and then you can rationalize later on. After getting all these things, then you can, if you cannot correlate things well, if you cannot understand things well, if you cannot correlate the earlier passages, the following passages well, you can revisit the recordings. One, then even with you revisit the recordings, say like 2 times, 3 times, still I would say that we may not be able to get the fully, because this just one page thing, which is so compassionately, so kindly shared with us by the author of the commentary by Lama Tsongkhapa. So this will make total sense to us only if we know the whole text, at least chapter 6, quite thoroughly. So therefore, bear with me that this is an opportunity for us to grow in our, say, the critical, analytical thinking. This is a great opportunity for us, and it's not that, okay, I didn't get anything. So in the first place, it's not that we are dull. This is not the connotation. The connotation that we have to grow in our analytical thinking. So for that matter, what we're learning here, these are all helping us to grow in the analytical skill, right? Okay, so this is what we're going to keep in mind. And at times, say, as I share with you things, what is being taught here, you may be getting something. The moment you move to the second one, the first can disappear, right? Okay, what he said, it simply slips from my mind. No, don't worry, the imprint is there. And then some of you may think that, oh, I have a terrible memory. It's not because of loss of memory, it's all because of the profundity of the topic and our mentality, the mindset, the power of the mind to go into this kind of analysis was not something which we did before. So therefore, the ability to grasp the things, the way being shared here, we are building it in the process. Simply because we do not get it doesn't mean that you are just a holy person. It simply means that you are the ability to grasp in these the nuances, the subtle nuances of this philosophy. So that ability is growing, right? This is indication. Whereas if you give up, then this is the greatest failure, right? The point is that the great masters, they spend years and years and years and years on this, and for us just studying this for one page, study this and expecting realization emptiness and not getting it, you feel so demoralized, and then okay, now this is the end. This should not be approached. Keep in mind that nobody can fail you, nobody can fail us. Only one person can fail you, that is yourself. Only if you say that, okay, now I did not get anything. Today I went to this class, I did not get anything. And so now there's no hope. If this is what we think, it is just say you are underestimating yourself. And we can't really, if you go to university, we can't expect to do everything of the university within one day, right? So likewise, say, in fact, what I would say is the subject-wise, complication-wise, what we study in the university, generally speaking, and what we study here is going to be even more complicated. Of course, every discipline is very complicated in its own ways, but the philosophy requires another very different way of thinking. And finally, the point, no matter what, the moment you put effort and you feel the challenge, means that you're growing in the power of intellectual inquiry. This is so precious, so precious. Had it not been the case that we are in this kind of program, where can we turn towards to grow in this skill? Where, right? Just, okay, the attended teaching and the teacher says something, right? Monologue. And then finally you don't get anything, don't feel bored, no interactive sessions, so there's no growth taking place. So where? Same, if you're part of the monastic university, right? Monastic university where these things are studied very rigorously, okay, that is exception. Otherwise, where do we really turn to look for these things? So had it not been for this opportunity, right? So therefore I should not miss the opportunity Say, in a way, this is I cannot really expect to get emptiness right away, right, just from one page. But it's a great opportunity for me to grow in my analytical skills, right? This is so precious. Okay, with this, and then later on, believe it or not, even if you don't get anything tonight, this evening, right? And then reading it once more, listening to the recordings once more, 2 times, 3 times, still you may not get anything. Believe it or not, after completing this text, go back to the same page. What is this page? 95, 96. Go back to page, same 95, 96. You read it, you'll be fascinated. Okay, I got it already, right? So this is the full confidence come to you when you finish the text. And don't forget the 2 IOs, right? 2 years IOs and the lifelong IOs. There are 2. Choose between the 2. IO means how frustrating, right? How frustrating. There are 2 years, how frustrating, and lifelong, how frustrating, right? If you feel frustrated for 2 years, not 2 years, 10 months, that's for us, right? It's just 10 months. There are 2, not every day, right? Okay, so that duration for IOs, if you cannot bear it, then you have to bear the lifelong IOs. That's up to the individual. That's where to choose. Okay, with this in mind, let's now begin. Okay, page 95. Page 95, the second last para, where the subheading is applying the example to the meaning. Applying the example to the meaning. Applying the example is where we're talking about the empty ultimate reality according to Savatantrika Madhyamika Rangdyupa. According to Savatantrika Madhyamika. So the example given was tell me, what is one of the most effective example given by Savatantrika Madhyamika to understand the emptiness? Magical illusion. Okay, so there, with the magical illusion, don't forget the 3 things, the three kinds of people: magician, then the audience who are on time, whose eyes are affected. Okay, let's make it more technical. Let's make it more correct. Let's say the magician, audience whose eyes are affected, and the audience whose eyes are not affected. 3, right? Okay, don't forget it. For the magician, right? What is the difference among these 3? For the magician, the eyes are defective, because of which, okay, so if you could, I hope many of you would still remember that. Same, I see this flower, then I appreciate this flower. So this appreciation of the flower, there is an interplay between the object, the flower is the object, and my mind is the subject. There's an interplay between the object and the subject. So this interplay of the object and the subject is possible on the basis of 2 activities or 2 functions, 2 activities. One is the activity related to the object, other the activity related to the subject. Let's say the object appears to my mind. We don't say that my mind appears to the object. We say object appears to the mind. This is appearance. Then object appears to my mind, and my mind agrees to the appearance. My mind apprehends the object. My mind engages with the object. Right? So appearance and engagement too. Now, in a very loose sense, we see that, say, when we put on the blue glasses, somebody who knows that the snow is white, we put on blue glasses, then you look at the Mount Kailash, you will see what? The mountain appears as blue. Snow mountain appears as blue. So there's an error pertaining to the appearance, mistake pertaining to the appearance. Okay, this we call as the mistaken mind. From Buddhist psychology, what we learned earlier, we call this as a mistaken mind. Mistaken with respect to the appearance of the object. Next one is the mistake with respect to the engagement, the subjective engagement with the object, or the mind apprehending, mistake pertaining to the mind apprehending. And if you say that, yes, now for the first time I'm seeing the snow, blue snow, right? If you believe, just as the snow appears as blue, appearance as wrong, blue, and then you consent to this appearance, yes, the snow is blue, your mind engages with the snow as blue, right? Whereas all of us, knowing that the snow is never blue, we put on the blue glasses, we see the snow is blue, snow appears as blue, but our mind, we as a person or the mind, our mind will not engage with the snow as blue. Snow is never blue, right? You will not agree with the appearance. So your engagement wise, there's no error. In a loose sense. In a loose sense. Okay, yeah. Technically speaking, okay, even the eye consciousness, mentally you don't approve this appearance, but eye consciousness is automatic. It grasps at the blue. This is a different discussion. Okay, keep this aside for the time being. Now let's say that let's say the magician, to the magician, there's the appearance wise, the twigs and the pebbles appear as horses and elephants. So it's a wrong appearance or a correct appearance? Wrong appearance. So for the magician, there's a wrong appearance. But magician, does he or does she approve this appearance? No. We'll say that this appearance is wrong. So will not believe that this appearance is true, right? So appearance, and the magician knows the disparity between the appearance and the reality. Appearance wise, the twigs and the pebbles appear as elephants and horses, but the reality is that these twigs and the pebbles are empty of being horses and the elephants, right? Okay, so the magician, appearance mistake, but the magician knows the reality. Appearance wise, there's erroneous appearance happening, but the reality, the magician knows the reality. So therefore, seeing the gap between the reality and the appearance, so the magician will say that there is a disparity discrepancy between the appearance and the reality. Okay, now the audience whose eyes are affected, so there the twigs and the pebbles appear as horses and elephants, erroneous appearance, and then they believe that, wow, there's beautiful horses, beautiful elephants are there, right? So they believe appearance is erroneous, and also the apprehension of the object is also erroneous, right? Okay, number 2. Number 3, the audience whose eyes are not affected by the magical powder. So there, what happens was the appearance is mistaken, and okay, then the engagement is mistaken, appearance is not mistaken. Both are correct. Okay, which means appearance wise, the twigs and the pebbles do not appear as elephants and horses. Appearance wise is not erroneous, and then they also don't engage with the pebbles to be the horses and elephants, right? Don't forget it. In other words, what we have to keep in mind here is that these 3 people, and then also that the magical illusion, it does exist. Magical illusion, it does exist, but it does not exist as a real horses and real elephants. It does exist. How does it exist then? It exists purely, it exists from the, it exists by the combination of the twigs and the pebbles, and from the object, twigs and pebbles, from the subject, the deceptive mind. These two come together, then the magical illusion arises. Don't forget it. You're getting it? Likewise, Svatana Bandhimika would say that everything that exists in the universe, should necessarily come into being by the combination of the 2 things, from the object and from the subject. right? Okay, from the subject and from object both. It is Prasangika who says that it is purely subjective. Purely subjective, nothing from the object. No degree of objectivity is there. This is Prasangika's view. But for the time being, what we're studying is Sarvatthana Madhyamaka's the philosophy. Okay, so this is the review of what we did earlier. So with this in mind, okay, and also what is being very clearly taught by the author in the book is that the magicians resemble which kind of people?
Who had experience of emptiness.
Somebody who has the experience of emptiness, but not having a non-dual experience. Just a conceptual experience of emptiness, not having a non-dual experience. So there, because of the experience of emptiness, the person believes that nothing exists nothing exists truly. Nothing exists truly. But things continue to appear as the truly real, as truly existent. Okay, this magician. Then what about the audience whose eyes are affected?
Anyone who has no experience of emptiness.
Somebody who has no experience, who has no clue what emptiness is, right? For them, in what way they resemble the audience affected by the whose eyes are affected? How they resemble the audience whose eyes are affected? How? Just as audience whose eyes are affected, for them the objects appear as real, and they also assent, they also believe that the objects exist the way it appears, right? Just as the audience whose eyes are affected, they believe that the one, appearance is mistaken, the twigs and pebbles appear as horses and elephants, and they also believe, yes, there are elephants and horses, right? So likewise, people who have no clue of emptiness, for them things continue to 24/7, whether you fast or sleep, whether you work in the waking state, sleeping state, in all cases, things continue to appear as objectively they were truly existent, and then you believe that things truly exist the way they appear truly existent. So these two things, right? So this analogy must not be missed. Then the third one, those who have, say, the spectators whose eyes are not affected by whose eyes are not affected. So what kind of people do they resemble?
Anyone having a manifest experience of non-dual.
Anyone having a manifest non-dual experience of emptiness. So there, things don't appear as truly existent. No, they believe, no, they assent to the things to be truly existent, right? Okay, good. So this as a background, we'll then continue reading this one. 95, second last paragraph. Applying the example to the meaning. When external and internal phenomena appear, external referring to external referring to the world in which we live, and internal referring to the person, and then the aggregates of the person, and these things. Okay. When external and internal phenomena appear as truly existent, sentient beings, like the audience of the magic, whose eyes are affected by the mantra cast by the magician, conceive that a mode of subsistence of these phenomena that is not possible by the force of an awareness exists. Okay, this is a little technical. I'm going to explain this. Okay, let's say that according to Sarvatthana Madhyamaka, everything exists. The mode of subsistence, the mode of existence of things are by the power is better than this, by the power of awareness, by the power of mind, by the power of the mind, particularly in what way? The power of the mind to which the object appears, by the power of the mind to which the object appears. All right. For example, the dreaming mind, the dream, right? When you're dreaming, say you dream of being in, say, where? Dharamsala. Let's say you dream of being in Dharamsala, right? Then His Holiness offering tea for you. Right? Okay, let's say. Right? Okay. And then you're so happy, so glad, so honored. Okay, so this is... And then you wake up. Oh, that was my dream. Right? So tell me that you were having tea with His Holiness last night. It was what? It was your dream. And who created this dream? The dreaming mind created this. You agree with me or not? Was that just appearance or just reality there?
Appearance.
It's just appearance. So this dream came into being by the power of the object, the dream, content of the dream appearing to the mind. So this dream came into being by the power of the mind, by the power of the dreaming mind. Yes? By the power of the dreaming mind, this dream came into being. What is this dreaming mind? This dreaming mind is the mind where the object appeared as real. Right? Okay, let's say dreaming mind is the mind to which the object appeared. Likewise, do you see this flower? Okay, so this flower, how this flower comes into being is by the power of your mind, which is by the power of your mind to which the object appears. You're getting it? This flower comes into being by the power of your mind, not 100% from the object here. Right? When I move it, it's as though like it is 100% from the object. This is deception. So it comes into being like a dream. Like a dream, it came into being by the power of your dream, the mind. Which mind? The mind to which the object appears. This is known as, it came into being by the power of the mind to which the object appears. This is the technical term. Right? Okay. Then tell me, what is the opposite of this? Say, on the one hand, I believe, or you believe that, okay, I believe that this flower comes into being by the power of this mind to which this object appears. Right? Okay, tell me, what's the opposite of this version? Who disagrees with me? What would they say? This exists independently of the mind to which the object appears to the mind. Right? We should be able to articulate these lines. Okay, let me say this again. I will say my version, and then if you disagree with me, how would you present it? So, what I say is that this flower exists. How does it exist? 100% from the flower? No. How does it exist? It exists by the power of my mind to which the object appears to my mind. Okay, and if you disagree with me, what you will say? The object exists independently of the power of my mind to which the object appears. You're getting it? Okay, this you must learn how to say it. Right? Even though it may not come to your mind at the moment, still you must learn how to say this. Right? Okay, good. Now let us continue reading this. When external and internal phenomena appear as truly existent, sentient beings like the truly existent, sentient beings who? Ordinary sentient beings, like the audience of the magic, whose eyes are affected by the mantra cast by the magician. What will these people think? They conceive that the mode of subsistence of these phenomena, those phenomena, meaning that how these things exist, they see them as not posited by the power of the awareness, by the power of the mind. Not by the power of the mind. They see them as independently of the power of the mind. You're getting it? They see things to exist as not by the power of the mind, meaning independently of the power of the mind. Okay, this conception is the innate conception of true existence, which has operated beginninglessly. So what do you mean by self-grasping ignorance? Self-grasping ignorance is what is self-grasping ignorance? There are two, the innate and the acquired. What we mean innate means something which we inherited since our childhood. Acquired means which we have learned later, right? Okay, do you know what is, can you distinguish the two things, innate and acquired? Right? Okay, if you don't know, the distinction is very simple, right? Look at how the young children, they behave. Young children, age like 1, 2, how they behave, just You don't have to teach them selfishness. Just see how they behave. This will tell us what is innate, right? You remember? I was sharing one thing with you, right? Okay, but I don't think this, but the toddler, not actually toddler, right? A toddler, maybe age, I think 1.5 years toddler. I don't think his father taught him how to drink alcohol. Right? I don't think his mother also taught how to drink alcohol. The mother gave him everything, chocolate, candies, whatever, and he rejected everything. Outright he rejected. He was just screaming, rejected. Then finally the alcohol was put in front. He started to simply glow and smile. What a joy, right? This is known as innate, right? Nobody taught. It is innately there. Likewise, self-grasping ignorance, which we inherited, there are two kinds. One which is innate, and one which we inherit from a philosophical learning, from a tenet system, from, say, you meet with a teacher who believes in the objectively existent or the truly existent self. So this teacher will teach you, and you think, yes, such a self truly exists. So that is acquired. What we inherited from past life, that is innate. Okay, so what is the innate, according to Svatandhara Madhyamika, what is the innate self-grasping ignorance? It says that, they conceive that, second line of the second last paragraph, second line, conceive that the mode of subsistence of those phenomena, meaning that phenomena existing, how the mode of existence is not posited, that these things are not posited by the force, by the power of the mind, but they exist independently of the power of the mind. You're getting it? Power of the mind. So, believing that things exist independently of the power of the mind, that is the innate self-grasping ignorance. This conception is the innate conception of true existence, which has been operating in us since beginningless time, beginninglessly. Okay, the next, what the Svatandrikas posit this way is very coarse relative to the Prasangika's apprehension of the object of negation. Object of negation meaning the true existence, what is to be negated to understand emptiness, that things don't exist truly, but true existence is not true, but this is to be rejected from our mind. What is to be rejected is what is to be negated is known as object of negation. So the true existence. So positing true existence the way the Svatandhara Madhyamika did, that is very coarse as compared to Prasangika's version. You getting it? So it says what the Svatandrikas posit this way of, say, the true existence. True existence is very coarse, very gross, relative to the Prasangika's apprehension of the object of negation. How the Prasangika understands the true existence, and how Svatandhara Madhyamika understands true existence, you see a stark contrast in this subtlety. Hence, it is not the innate subtle conception of true existence according to Prasangikas. How does Svatandhara Madhyamika present as the innate self-grasping ignorance or innate grasping true existence? According to Prasangika, this is very coarse, and this does not reflect the subtle self-grasping ignorance. Okay, next. When the true existence apprehended by the conception of true existence is refuted through reasoning. Okay, let's say, I say that, oh, I'm holding a chocolate. I'm holding a glass. Am I correct or not correct? Huh? Those who are looking up, they will say it's not correct. Those who are not looking at me, you say correct. You may be thinking that he must be holding a glass now. Right? You have to look up. First you have to look. Without looking, you're giving answer. Then you will say yes. Right? I'm holding a flower, not a glass. Okay. I say that I'm holding a glass. I'm holding glass. Then we say no. Which means that I believe that I'm holding a glass. My mind believes that I'm holding a glass. Right? So you say that no. So you negate me holding a glass. You negate existence of glass in my hand. So the glass in my hand becomes the object of negation. Right? Okay. So, okay, when the true existence apprehended by the conception true existence meaning the misconception, our mind thinking of true existence. So say my hand, okay, so my mind believing in true existence, my hand holding a glass, my mind believing in true existence. What is the object? True existence. My hand holding a glass, what is the object? The glass. So I say that my hand is holding a glass. You say, no, you're wrong. Right? So you reject what? You reject the glass in my hand. You say that, yes, my mind exists, my mind sees things as object as truly real. You will say that no, things are not truly real. You reject true existence. Okay. When true existence, apprehended by the conception of true existence, the mind which thinks of true existence, in other words, when true existence is rejected, is refuted through reasoning. When the true existence is rejected through reason, one, like the magician, does not conceive of external and internal phenomena as having a mode of subsistence that is not posited through the force of an internal awareness. Rather, one understands phenomena as mere existence. Okay, let's say, when you reject true existence, when you reject the true existence of this flower, will you believe that the flower exists not by the power of the mind? Okay, your mind hangs, I can see that, right? Okay, let me say this again. When you realize that the flower doesn't exist truly, or when you reject true existence, in other words, when you reject true existence of the flower, which means when you know that the flower doesn't exist truly, right? Will you believe that the flower exists independently of the mind appearing the flower? No. Will you believe that the flower exists not by the power of the mind? Huh? Very good. Okay, you're getting somewhere. Okay, now, then, if you reject true existence, then you become like which of the three categories? The magician, the spectators whose eyes are affected, the spectators whose eyes are not affected. When I'm sure that I believe that you don't have a non-dual experience of emptiness, right? If you don't have a non-dual experience of emptiness, then what I'm saying is that if you realize emptiness today, right, it's going to be conceptual experience, the first time experience of emptiness. So there you become like a magician, or you become like the spectator without the eyes not affected, or with eyes affected, like the magician. Okay, so it says the second last paragraph. When the true existence apprehended by the concept of true existence is refuted meaning the true existence is rejected through reasoning, then you become like a magician. One, like the magician, you do not conceive of external and internal phenomena as having a mode of subsistence, meaning, what is mode of subsistence? Mode of existence that is not posited through the force of an internal awareness. You agree with this? Okay. Rather than what would be your version of the mode of subsistence of this object? Rather, one understands phenomena as mere existence. This flower is merely existent. How? Posited through the force and awareness. Agree with me? You're getting something? Yes, very good. If you get it there, this is good. So after this class, even if it disappears, it doesn't matter. Right? You read it, again you may get lost, it doesn't matter. Right? So for the time being, our mind is growing. Mind is growing, developing, right? And very likely new synaptic connections are being built. Yeah, that is happening. Yeah, that is happening. And if you think of these more, then in the debates, the first time you debate, your mind hangs. You cannot give answer yes, no, and then when the synaptic connections are well formed there, no matter how fast the other person puts the question, you can get it right there. Yes, no, so fast, right? Okay, so this is how it helps us. Okay, continue reading. Rather, one understands phenomena as mere existence, posited through the force on awareness. 1. Moreover, those phenomena posited through the force on awareness, not damaged. Okay, damaged, change it to refuted. Not refuted by valid cognition. By the way, English. What is this English like? Damaged by valid cognition, or what is better? Okay, we have no time. Say refuted. Rejected or refuted. This is better, right? And awareness. Let's read this once more. Moreover, those phenomena posited through the force of an awareness, those phenomena posited through the force of awareness, not refuted by valid cognition. For example, this flower. Okay, if you are Svatantra Madhyamika followers, this flower, does it exist by the force, by the power of the awareness,
Yes.
by the power of the mind?
Yes.
Yes. Is this refuted by valid cognition? This flower, is it refuted by valid cognition?
No.
How not?
It is an object of valid cognition.
This flower, how it is not refuted by the valid cognition? Because the valid cognition cognizes it. The valid cognition the cognizes it, and the valid cognition believes that this flower exists. Right? It is not rejected. So it says, not refuted by valid cognition, are asserted as conventionally existent. In other words, what do you understand by things existing conventionally? Right? Okay, tell me, what are the things that exist conventionally? Anyone give me some examples, very quick. According to Svatantra Madhyamika, what are the things that exist conventionally? Very quick, very quick, very good. Okay, no need, quick, just quick. Give me some examples. Huh? No, don't just say anything. Give me a flower, table, my clothes, the prayer flags. Say something. Hey, say something. Huh? Flower. You cannot say something beyond what I said? The vase. The mind itself. Right? Mind itself. Okay. So in other words, everything that exists in this universe should necessarily exist conventionally. Nothing exists ultimately. Okay. So with this in mind, it says that moreover, those phenomena posited through the force on awareness and not refuted by valid cognition are asserted as conventionally existent. Okay, this is very important line. According to Svatantra Madhyamika, what do you understand by something existing conventionally? That things which exist by the power of the mind, not refuted by valid cognition. You're getting it? Okay. Can you think of something which exists by the power of the mind, but refuted by convention, valid cognition? Okay. What do you understand by something which exists conventionally? We say there's something which exists by the power, posited by the power of the mind, and not refuted by valid cognition. So we applied two qualifications. We applied two qualifications. If the second one is missing, just only the first one, anything which is posited by the power of the mind should be conventionally existent. You agree with me or not?
No.
Without qualifying with the second qualification. You agree? Not agree?
No.
If you don't agree, give me an example, very quick.
Eye consciousness seeing two moons.
Eye consciousness seeing two moons. Does it exist or not?
No.
Eye consciousness seeing two moons. Does it exist or not? No. There is no eye consciousness which sees two moons. There is no erroneous eyes which sees two moons.
Appearance exists.
Huh? Is there an eye consciousness which sees two moons?
Yes.
Is there an eye consciousness which sees the snake robe as a snake?
Yes.
Snake as a robe also?
Yes.
Both ways are dark, right? So we do have eye consciousness seeing the two moons. If it exists, does it exist conventionally or ultimately?
Neither.
Ah.
Oh, yes.
If it exists, does it exist conventionally or ultimately? These are the only two options. Conventionally. So my question to you is, can you think of something which qualifies the first qualification, that something which is posited by the power of the mind, not yet not conventionally existent? Can you give me an example?
Horn of the rabbits.
Huh?
The
Horn of a rabbit, Tibet is a tiger. Okay, horn of a rabbit, it does not exist. Does it exist by the power of the mind?
Yes.
How does it exist by the power of the mind? Huh? How is it not exist? How is it posited by the power of the mind?
Because there is a mind that cognizes the existence.
Not cognizes. That perceives. You can posit a mind which perceives the rabbit, horn of a rabbit, right? Which can be mistaken. It doesn't matter. But there's a mind which perceives, erroneously perceives a horn of a rabbit. So this horn of a rabbit is something which is perceived by mind. So this is posited, although it is not validly there, but that is posited, erroneously posited by the power of the mind. And yet, does it exist conventionally? It doesn't exist conventionally. So therefore it must be existing ultimately then. No, it does not exist. It does not exist conventionally, nor does it exist ultimately. So therefore, in order for something to be conventionally existent, it should be existent in the first place. You getting it? For something to be existent, it must not be rejected by valid cognition. So therefore, anything which is posited by the power of the mind and also not rejected by the valid cognition, that is qualified to be existent and existent conventionally. Okay, something which is posited by the power of the mind, number one. Number two, that it is not rejected by valid cognition. Two, when these two things are fulfilled, then that object is entitled to be existent. And anything which exists should necessarily exist conventionally. In other words, existence and existing conventionally, these two are synonymous. Existence and existing conventionally, these two are synonymous. You getting it? Okay. Now the fourth last line of page 95. However, everything posited through the force of an awareness is not asserted as existing conventional. Oh, this is a very one thing that okay, I don't know how to explain this. Okay, anyone who can help me? It says, the author says, however, everything posited through the force, through the power of an awareness, through the power of mind, is not asserted as existing conventionally. Okay, how many of you agree with this? Okay, how would you defend this? Everything posited through the force, everything posited through the power of the mind should be conventionally existent, right? Everything which is posited by the power of the mind should be conventionally existent. No. What examples do we have? A tree. Dream. Okay, the dream. Dream does not exist conventionally. Exist, not exist? Dream exists. Dream exists or not exist? Huh? Dream exists as a dream. Very good. Okay, dream exists. Dream exists, but it does not exist as a real. Dream flower does not exist as a real flower, but it exists as a dream flower, right? Okay, it does exist. Because it exists, it should exist conventionally. Now, can you think of something which is posited by the power of the mind, but not existing conventionally? Give me an example very quick. Sky flower. Okay, sky flower is something which exists conventionally, but it's not posited by the power of the mind. Yes, Radhika ji? Okay, sky flower is posited by the power of the mind, but it does not exist conventionally. It exists ultimately.
It does not exist.
How come? If it exists, it should be conventionally or it should be ultimately? Right? Okay, if it exists, because it doesn't exist, right? The first qualification is not there. Okay, So therefore, something which is posited by the power of mind doesn't mean that it should exist. Okay, now from this what we're going to learn is that anything that exists should necessarily exist. It should necessarily be posited by the power of the mind. Okay, two things: existence and the posited by the power of the mind. Anything which exists should be posited by the power of the mind. Anything which is posited by the power of mind may not exist. Don't forget it, right? We're going to look for the 4 modes, 3 modes, contradictory and synonymous. Tell me what's the relationship between the two things: existence and posited by the power of mind. What is the relationship? 3 modes, 4 modes, contradictory, synonymous. Huh? 3 modes. How 3 modes?
All existence must necessarily.
All existence should necessarily be posited by the power of the mind, and all posited by the power of mind is not necessarily existent. What examples do we have? A sky flower. Okay. So anything which is non-existent is posited by the power of the mind, but does not exist. Okay, this is what is the summary here. You got it? Good. Next. Although the second last line, although the production of a sprout from a seed is posited through the force and awareness. Okay, do you mean to say that everything is posited by the power of the mind? This is what he's saying. Everything exists. Everything is posited by the power of mind. This is what he's saying. Huh? Everything is posited by the power of mind. Is this what he's saying?
Yes.
Okay, which means the sprout also is posited by the power of the mind.
Yes.
Which means the sprout is not by the power of the seed.
It's both.
Huh?
There's the object basis.
This flower is mine. When I say this is mine, it rejects being yours.
Not for Swatantrika Madhya.
Not for Sadhana. Okay, for Sadhana, this is by everyone.
No.
Right? Okay, so the point is that, say, Swatantra Madhyamika, there is no contradiction in accepting the two things. That the sprout exists by the power of the mind, and that it also exists from the seed. There is no contradiction. You're getting it? There's no contradiction. Later on, for the time being, we have to learn all these things. Later on, once you have all this information intact, then we have to, not just you, we have to really reflect on how these two things don't contradict. There's something existing from the seed and yet existing by the power of the mind, from the subject and from the object. In what way these two don't contradict? This is what we have to reflect very seriously once you have a complete picture of the information of Swatantra Madhyamika philosophy. Okay, second last paragraph, page 95. Although the production of a sprout from a seed is posited through the force of an awareness or the power of the mind, it is not contradictory that the sprout also is produced from this seed, from its own side. From its own side, this is the key word. Prasangika never accepts anything existing from his own side. Right? This is something so unique of rejecting existing from his own side is unique of Prasangika. All the other schools, Buddhists, non-Buddhists, all except for Prasangika, believe in existing from one's own side. Don't forget it. This is like the fact that there's an appearance of appearance as a horse or elephant, even from the start of the base of conjuring. Conjuring, that is a pebble of the twig. So the analogy given is what? This flower came into being by the power of the mind. Yes, you agree with me or not? According to Swatantra Madhyamika, it's by the power of the mind. And it is also by the power of the seed from his own side. Yes? This combination is there. So this is analogous to the magical illusion which comes into being by the power of the defective mind plus the pebbles and the twigs. In what way the pebbles and the twigs play a role here? Without the pebbles and the twigs, in what way you cannot have the magical illusion? Can you give an example? In what way? Can you explain something? So Swatantra Madhyamika is saying that magical illusion, seeing elephants and horses, so these things are happening but a part of the defective mind. You agree with me?
Yes.
Which means the subject. Involvement of the subject is there. And what's the involvement of the object? The twigs and the pebbles. So how can you say that the twigs and the pebbles are involved there? Involved for the appearance of the, for this magical illusion to arise? Huh? How would you say that this is the base? Yes, Tejala?
Because when the same deceptive mind looks not at the consecrated pebbles and twigs but at something else, then that illusion doesn't arise of the horses and elephants. So we know that then both things are needed.
Very good. Very good. Same with the same defective eyes. If you look at another place in another direction where the pebbles and the sticks are not there, the consecrated pebbles and sticks are not there, you don't see the magical illusion. You see magical illusion only when these subjective erroneous eyes, defective eyes, the subject, and the consecrated object, the pebbles and the sticks, these two come into contact, only then the magical illusion arises. You getting it? Okay, so likewise, Swatantra Madhyamika would say that there should be something from the subject, something from the object come together, then the sprout coming into existence, sprout or anything comes into existence by two things, from the subject, from the object. Two things are required. Okay. Page 96. 96. This is like the fact that there is an appearance as a horse or elephant, which is the magical illusion, even from the side of the basis conjuring, not only the defective eyes, but also there should be something as a basis, like the pebbles or the twigs. Through that, all conventionally existent phenomena are to be understood, meaning that anything that exists, conventionally meaning anything that exists, should necessarily exist by two things, from the subject and from the object. Right? And Prasangika would say it's purely subjective, nothing from the object. Right?
Can I ask for clarification?
Yes.
When we have this analogy of the magical illusion and the audience whose eyes are affected, basically for them, if I have to draw a parallel, the conventional truth is arising. But according to Swatantrika Madhyamika, sense direct consciousness cannot be direct valid perceivers, cannot be mistaken. So then the eye which is affected, is that not the direct valid perceiver in relation to the illusion?
So, let's say this flower, it came into being by the power of the appearance, by the power of the mind. Which mind? Let's say your eye consciousness, to which the flower appears. You getting it? And the magical illusion appears to which mind? The defective mind. You getting it? Okay. The defective mind, this is very important. Defective mind, so it has two parts. One is that it is a subject. Number two, it is defective. You're getting it? There are two things. Analogy that we have to draw is not the defective side, the subject side, being a subject. You're getting it? Okay, let's say magical illusion is seen by the power of the mind. Which mind? The defective mind. Defective mind is the subject or the object? Subject in this context, the subject. Is a defective or non-defective subject? Defective subject. Of the two, and this defective mind belongs to a boy or a girl, or someone from Tibet house or from outside Tibet house. Okay, someone who ate the dal chawal or who ate pizza. There are so many differences there. We don't have to go to all the details. Right? Of all these many various possible differences, we pick up only what is relevant to us. What is relevant is the subject. Subject is involved. Not necessarily valid subject, non-valid subject, defective, non-defective, right? With this defective, it so happens that the defective might be involved with the magical illusion, then it becomes very easy example. Anybody can understand it. You're getting it? So, of this defective subject, we take up the element of the subject, not necessarily the defective side. You're getting it? Subject is involved, object is involved, then the magical illusion arises. Likewise, the seed from his own side given the flower and our eye consciousness seeing the flower, these two come together. Even though eye consciousness is not defective, it's a matter, it's a subject. Subject is involved to which the object appears, and then the electrons, protons are there. These two come together, then it appears as a flower. You're getting it? Subject, object, both involved. This is what we have to learn. Not necessarily that the subject should be always defective. With the example, it happens that it is defective. Okay. The next, even reality. Now, then if this is the thing, then what about the ultimate reality? What about ultimate reality? What about the emptiness? It exists by the power of the mind? No? Yes? Emptiness, it exists by the power of the mind?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Yes? If it exists by the power of the mind, then it exists conventionally? Then it does not exist ultimately? Then it's not ultimate? Then how can that it is ultimate, it does not exist ultimately? Huh? 1 and 2, right? Ultimate sense in the context of being ultimate in the sense of being ultimately existent. Of the two, the first one exists, the second one never exists. Even the ultimate does not exist ultimately. This is what we learned earlier. Okay, now with this, even the reality here referring to ultimate reality, even the ultimate reality is posited as existing through the force of an awareness, through the power of an awareness, to which it appears, to which the reality appears. Hence, it is not an exception to being posited as conventionally existent, which means that even the ultimate reality also exists conventionally. Okay, next. Therefore, the significance of applying the example, a magician's illusion. Okay, how many of you are getting something? Okay, getting something or more. Getting something or more, right? So, you belong to the category getting something, right? Getting something or more, right? Any of the two categories, yes and. I did not get anything, raise your hands. I did not hear anything what you say. Okay, which means that we are all getting something. This is so precious, so precious. Meanwhile, I am learning a lot. You know what I'm learning? You know what I'm learning? Huh? I'm learning how to explain complicated things. There's such exhaustion energy going in within me, right? Complicated things in the simplest way, just looking your faces, then change the words, right? When the face is a little sour, change the words instantly, right? Wow, this is what I'm learning. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's see. Yes, we can go slow. Yes, sure, yeah, we can go. But keep in mind, don't worry too much. As I said earlier, as long as you think that you are getting on the spot, and then instantly like a bubble, right? The bubble is formed, then you grab it, it bursts, it disappears. Don't worry, right? Oh, there's a beautiful formation of the cloud, like a flower. You then keep your eyes a little awake, you look at it, it disappears. It doesn't matter. As long as you've seen the flower, that's amazing, right? You have implanted an incredible seed. With this, believe it or not, as we complete the text, you read it once more, you'll be fascinated. You're getting it? I'm not expecting you to get it right away today, that whatever I explained. Actually, I'm thinking of finishing this, page 96. Today, I'm thinking of finishing this, right? Yet, don't feel demoralized, even if you don't think that I got like 50% of this. Don't worry. Just trust me, right? Provided you are consistent with what you will learn, the pace at which we are learning, don't worry, even if you think that it disappears from mind, right? Okay. Now let's read this further. Therefore, stanza 3. Therefore, the significance of applying the example, the magician's illusion to the meaning. Now, how to apply this magician's illusion to other phenomena like the pot, the flower, and so forth, right? Okay, so what the author is bringing up here is the position of some scholars who say that what is really there, okay, say the magical illusion is just an illusion. It's just an illusion. There is no the horses and the elephants there. So say, what is this? Flower. In actuality, this is not a flower, right? This is some of the scholars' versions, which is total misconception, which the author wants to reject. If we think that this is Swatantra Madhyamika philosophy, you are not getting the Swatantra Madhyamika philosophy. There are people who explain this, that what are you seeing here is a flower. It's not a flower. Flower is not a flower. Table is not a table. The person is not the person. This is some scholars, they interpret Swatantra Madhyamika philosophy, right? Okay, let's say the position of the other scholars. Therefore, the significance and the scholars' meaning is not just the scholars. When I speak about scholars, it's not just the scholars. Scholars who actually practice, who actually meditate. You're getting it? In those days, contemporary to the author Lama Tsongkhapa, all these scholars, renowned scholars, they're actually all great meditators. You're getting it? So today when we speak scholars and practitioners, there are two different classes there today, nowadays. But in those days, scholars means who actually meditate on what they believe, what the philosophy in which they believe in. Okay. Therefore, the significance of applying the example. So what is the significance? What is the outcome of this? How do we apply this to other phenomena? Magical illusion to the meaning. To the meaning, to all the phenomena. There's just an example. What is the actual meaning? The flower is empty of flower. The flower is not a flower. Table is not a flower. Table is not a table. Let's say, meaning, other phenomena is not at all. Now the author is saying, don't apply the meaning like this. Not at all that just as a magician's illusion appears to be a horse and elephant, but is being empty of horse and elephant, such. So all phenomena such as pots, the pots appear to be pot, and so forth, but they are empty of being a pot. The flower appears as a flower. Does it appear as a flower? It's empty of a flower, right? Magical illusion appears as a horse, but it's empty of being a horse. So this is the other scholar's version. The object appears as a flower, this is empty of a flower. In other words, a flower is not a flower. This is what they are saying. This is what the author is not happy. So forth. For if that were the case, if you say that it appears as a flower, but it's not a flower, in a way you are saying that the flower is not a flower. If that were the case, being that phenomena, for example, being a pot, would not occur. Then you cannot posit something exists as a pot, something exists as a flower, because anything that appears as a flower, where's the flower? It's there. It appears as a flower, it's not a flower. You cannot posit the existence of a pot. You cannot exist in the existence of a flower. You cannot posit the existence of any phenomena. For if that were the case, being that phenomena, flower, something as a flower, something as a pot, would not occur. And the application of the example to the meaning would be that phenomena appear to be such and such, but are not the actual thing. The flower appears as a flower, table appears as a flower, the table appears as a table, but it's not a table. The person appears as a person, it's not a person. Emptiness appears as emptiness, but it's not emptiness, right? Okay, but are not the actual thing. When the non-conceptual exalted wisdom of meditative equipoise is generated, when the non-conceptual experience, what is that? Non-dual experience of emptiness is generated, in its perspective, all with respect, for example, say you are experiencing emptiness non-dualistic now. With respect to you, in its perspective, all dualistic appearances, all conceptual appearances extinguished or dissolve. Right? This is like one whose eyes not having been affected by the magician's mantra. The audience whose eyes are not affected by the magician's mantra or the magical spell or the magical powder. So say here, there's nothing of the magical illusion is there. Every magical illusion dissolves. It's not there in the eyes of in the eyes of the audience whose eyes are not affected. No trace of the magical illusion is left in the eyes with respect to the audience whose eyes are not affected. Likewise, when you have the non-dual experience of emptiness, what happens is that all which has the element of duality will all dissolve. Okay, tell me, what kind of duality? Can you give an example? What kind of duality? Okay, do you see the flower? Where do you see the flower? Away from you. And where's the subject with you? Where's the gap between the subject and object? There's a gap. So the flower is the object 1 and your mind is the subject 2. So there's a gap there 2, right? So there's duality 2. In other words, duality has so many connotations. So many connotations. One of the most profound connotations is the duality in the sense of conventional phenomena, conventional truth. Anything which exists as conventional truth, any mind which sees conventional truth, there is a duality. Any mind which sees a conventional truth, there is a duality happening, because conventional truth cannot be seen without the dualistic mind, right? Then the question arises whether or not the Buddha has dualistic mind. Answer is yes. Buddha's dualistic mind. But the Buddha's mind is always non-dual. Don't forget it. Buddha's mind is always non-dual, yet the Buddha's mind has duality. How? The same mind the Buddha was meditating during the Heart Sutra. In Rajgir, Buddha was meditating in the dualistic, right? The profound illumination, emptiness. Right? So the Buddha is non-dual with emptiness. The same mind which is non-dual with emptiness, the same mind inspired Shariputra. Hey Shariputra, right? Stand up and ask question to Aravaruteshvara. So for the Buddha, the same mind which is non-dual with emptiness is dual with conventional truth. You getting it? For Buddha, the same mind which is non-dual, Buddha's mind is always non-dual with emptiness, ultimate truth, and is always non-dual with conventional truth. Don't forget it. Always dual with conventional truth, and is always non-dual with ultimate truth. You getting it? In other words, it's contextual. Buddha's mind is non-dual with respect to emptiness. It is dual with respect to conventional truth. Okay, this is what we need to keep in mind. Whereas for the sentient beings, who are the sentient beings?
Non-Buddhas.
Huh? Non-Buddhas. Huh?
Yes.
Hey, the sentient beings.
Non-Buddhas.
Sentient beings as opposed to Arhats. Sentient beings as opposed to Aryas.
Buddhas.
Huh? Sentient beings as opposed to Arhats.
Buddhas.
Aryas. Huh? Pratik Buddhas. Then sentient beings as opposed to
Buddhas.
louder. Buddhas, right? Okay, so if this is how the Buddha perceives, Buddha's mind, the same mind, single mind of the Buddha is dual as well as non-dual. Dual with respect to conventional truth, non-dual with respect to ultimate truth. Don't forget it. Whereas for the sentient beings, that facility is lacking for the sentient beings. The same mind cannot be dual as well as non-dual simultaneously. This is what the sentient being's mind cannot be. This facility is only with the Buddhas. Right? For the sentient beings, if you are the non-dual, the same mind cannot be dual. If you're dual, you cannot be non-dual with respect to anything. Right? For sentient beings, you have to pick up only one at a time. If you're non-dual with emptiness, you cannot be dual. You cannot be seeing conventional truth. If you're dual, you cannot have non-dual experience of emptiness. Right? This is the sentient beings. This difference. Okay, with this mind. Okay. The next the paragraph. When the non-conceptual exalted wisdom of meditative equipoise is generated, in its perspective, say you generate this non-dual, non-conceptual exalted wisdom of emptiness, meditative equipoise is generated now. In its perspective, all dualistic appearances dissolve. Extinguish meaning, they all dissolve. Now you are in a non-dual state. This is like one whose eyes, not having been affected by magician's mantra, have neither the illusory appearance nor adherence nor apprehension of the illusory appearance. Okay. Now the next, this is so important. Okay, ready? This is the next paragraph which I'm going to read. This is so important. Let us pay attention to this. And in fact, say after studying the whole text, after studying this whole text of like 10 months, then you want to have a very, what do you call it, the crash course or crash reflection of the emptiness very precisely, but I don't have time to read all these things, right? I simply have like, say, the 10 minutes to spend. Then you just read this how many paragraphs there according to this translation? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just five paragraphs. 5 short paragraphs. These 5 short paragraphs, you read this over and over and over again. Meanwhile, what is happening is that the wisdom of emptiness, the root is going deeper and deeper and deeper, right? This is a very, very precious part. And I personally, when I was studying this text, I must have read this so many times. Okay. And then of course I got also because of so many such the sharings, I was able to again share the same thing in many places. Okay, so this is very precious, and this of course, because of the importance of this, it is included in this book also, the Blaze of Non-Dual Bodhicittas. In this book also it is included there. Which page is that? 208. Okay, translation may vary a little bit. So those of you, they say you can go through this translation, you can go through the other translation, you can compare, right? And then there is the Thubten Jimbala's translation there, and you can compare the 3, you know. And then where something's missing in one translation, it may be in the other translation. What is missing in the second, maybe in the third. What is missing in the third, maybe in the first. So that would be a good comparison for us. The point is that we should get a correct information. It's not the language. Okay, keep this in mind. Oh, this book is so good, the language is so good, the other one is not so good. You are talking about the language because you don't know what is the original text there. In some cases, the language may not be smooth, but the concept is so precisely there. In some cases, the language is so beautiful, concepts are missing. Simply because the language is beautiful, don't be swayed by that. This is what I'm saying. Okay, now the next, this is so important. I don't know whether we're going to finish this now, but still, this is where we need to keep up the focus. And your job is, don't expect that I will get something emptiness today now, right? Okay, the point is that from this we will grow. What grow? Our, say, the analytical skill will grow. This is important for us. There is no indication later, or there's no explanation later. Rather than indication, it is explanation. There's no explanation later in Acharya Chandragirti's text of the Savatantrika's uncommon mode of refutation of the true existence, meaning that Savatantrika Madhyamika, talking about emptiness, we have to explain emptiness only by rejecting true existence. So from the Acharya Chandrakriti's text, entry the Madhyamika Avatar, you don't see any section which will explain the emptiness of Savatantrika Madhyamika. So, out of great compassion, the author of the commentary, Lama Tsongkhapa, is rendering the explanation of how we can understand emptiness according to Savatantrika Madhyamika, right? Okay. At the same time, this is very important. Why, if it is just Savatantrika Madhyamika's version of the emptiness, in what way, why it is important, why don't we go directly to the Prasangika's emptiness, right? So for that matter, what I'm saying is that this part, depending on how you identify the object of negation, if you identify the object of negation, I say that in this hall nothing is there. We say, in my bag I have nothing there, right? Okay, if something is there, what could be there? What could that be like? You're getting it? What did I say? I said there's nothing in my bag. Okay, then you may be wondering, if something is there in his bag, what could that be like? Then you may say maybe elephant. So because you identify, if something is there, it could be elephant, right? Then what you have known that my bag is empty of elephant, which is just useless, right? This everybody knows. My small bag is empty of elephant. Whereas if you say that, okay, he does not really like chocolate, so maybe his bag does not have chocolate. Okay, that is much better, right? Much better, chocolate. Then you may say that, okay, he said that nothing is there, which means anything that you can think of, chocolate, pencil, pen, flower, whatever, nothing's really there, anything, right? So object negation, you identify that as anything, whether subtle, gross, whatever, right? You identify the object in its very fullest form. Then you understood my statement completely, fully. Likewise, same, depending on how you identify the object of negation. When the Prasangika say that nothing exists truly, Savatantrika Madhyamika says nothing exists truly. How do you identify the object of negation? If you identify the object of negation, the way Savatantrika Madhyamika identifies, then by reading this, an emptiness you get is according to Savatantrika Madhyamika. Whereas, when you identify the object of negation the way Prasangika identifies, precisely the way Prasangika identifies, and you apply the same reasoning used here to reject that, emptiness you get out of these three passages is the emptiness according to Prasangika. Okay, and you may be wondering that how can it be so confident to say this, right? It doesn't say anything about this. Okay, this is what I thought, and later on when I read Jizun Sherab Singhi, the founding teacher of Gyume Tantric College, who was one of the principal disciples of Lama Tsongkhapa, right? Lama Tsongkhapa. Okay, then you want to know more about the Venerable Jizun Sherab Singhi, you can ask Venerable the Geshe Lhundrubla here, right? So he will tell you in detail about the Venerable Jizun Sherab Singhi. So how he was appointed by Lama Tsongkhapa to establish the first Tantric college, first Tantric college. So the kind of account, the anecdote is very touching, very touching. And then in the congregation of the monks and the scholars, practitioners, then Lama Tsongkhapa, he asked his students, who is going to own up to establish a Tantric college? Tantric, the same, the monastic practice college. And then nobody raised their hands, nobody. Finally, Jizun Sherab Singhi, he stood up and raised his hands. Then Lama Tsongkhapa was so happy that it's a great bodhisattva taking the responsibility, taking a huge, massive responsibility of establishing a Tantric college, which means that unless until you are highly qualified in Sutra and Tantra, you cannot possibly think of starting a Tantric college, and that too under the auspices of the Lama Tsongkhapa. So therefore Lama Tsongkhapa was so happy, then he blessed him, and then he gave many of the objects, his Lama Tsongkhapa's personal belongings pertaining to the Tantric practices to him, and then he started the Gyume Tantric College. Right? So he has a whole commentary on Shri Guhya Samaja Root Tantra, whole huge commentary. The Venerable Jizun Sherab Singhi has a huge commentary, and this is nowadays being studied in the Gyume Tantric College. So I'm honored to be a part of that. I also studied it. Okay, partly. So there, pertaining to the second chapter of Shri Guhya Samaja Root Tantra, when Venerable Jizun Sherab Singhi was commenting on this the stanza, this is the stanza from Shri Guhya Samaja Root Tantra. So explaining this, then the Jizun Sherab Singhi was explaining emptiness exact. This is about emptiness, about the emptiness at the time, emptiness to be meditated upon as a part of taking the death into the path of the Dharmakaya, death into the Dharmakaya. So they're explaining emptiness. The author, Jizun Sherab Singhi, he explained it precisely according to this. What we are reading now. This is way he used by applying this to Prasangika, right? So I was so happy that it is not my self-creation. There is such an enlightened being who actually came up with the same thought, which I also came up with. So now if I can say it very boldly. There is Jizun Sherab Singhi there, who is a great highly enlightened, and who did the same thing when he was explaining on emptiness, in line with this particular stanza. Okay, so with that in mind, let's read this. But for the time being, don't try to apply this according to Prasangika. Let us just strictly go according to what is said here, right? And then once you get it fully, to the extent that if I were explains to someone according to Svatantra Madhyamika, this is how to explain. If I were to explain the same thing according to Prasangika, this is how I'm going to explain. If you're able to get both the versions, if you get some kind of authority, some kind of conviction and confidence, explain the same thing from the both the versions, then you can do it. For the time being, let us study according to what is being said there. So this is said in accordance with Svatantra Madhyamika. Let's study according to that. And then later on, you can apply this to Prasangika. Okay, let's see. There is no indication or there's no explanation later in the Acharya Chandragirita's text of the Svatantrika's uncommon mode of refutation of the true existence by reasoning. So how the reality is explained, uncommon mode of relation, uncommon mode of refutation of the true existence. You refute true existence, what will you get? Hey, once you refute true existence, what you will get? You will get the emptiness, concept of emptiness. Okay, refutation true existence by reasoning in order to get the wisdom of emptiness. Therefore, let us express, it is not really let us, it is let me. The author, he does not say let us express. Okay, anyway, it is like let me express briefly, or let me share briefly and in words easy to understand how in this system all phenomena are caused to appear as like illusions. Okay. Okay, it's fine. It is let me.
You had changed the translation already.
Changed already?
Instead of are caused, you had said arise or are seen.
We already read this.
So you had just read this passage.
Okay.
No, you have not done it.
Good. Okay. Therefore, let me express briefly, or not really express, let me share briefly and in words, easy to understand how in this system, in Svatantra Madhyamika system, all phenomena are caused to appear as like illusions, meaning how everything is entered to existence, and thus how everything appears as illusion-like. Okay. Okay, now objects of knowledge are inclusively divided into the two, which means that anything that exists, object of knowledge, meaning anything which is, any phenomena, anything that exists, object of knowledge, are inclusively divided into two. Anything that exists should be divided into two, which means permanent and impermanent phenomena. You agree with me or not?
Yes.
Okay. So this is where, so the moment, if I bring, some people from the Mount Himalaya, practicing, and then I said all phenomena divided into the what? Permanent, they will be least interested. We are not talking about emptiness, right? If this is what is the expectation, you will never get emptiness, right? You will never get emptiness. So therefore, the point is that anything that exists, anything which is an object of knowledge, anything which is a phenomena, should necessarily be falling into one of the two categories: permanent and impermanent. You agree with me? Good. Let's see. Objects of knowledge are inclusively divided into two: functional things and non-functional things. Impermanent, functional things, these two are synonymous. Non-functional and permanent phenomena are synonymous. Keep this in mind. Why impermanent? How impermanent phenomena and functional things are synonymous is functional things means something which functions to give rise to a result. Something which functions to give rise to a result, which means something which is a cause, to give rise to a result. This is an impermanent phenomenon. How? When the cause gives rise to a result, the cause doesn't remain as a cause. It changes into the results. So there's a change happening. So what is change is known as impermanent phenomena. Change, impermanent, same. So functional things and impermanent phenomena, these two are synonymous. Non-functional things and permanent phenomena, these two are synonymous. Okay. Functional things, this is one technical term. A functional thing in Tibetan is Tunje Nupa. Tunje Nupa. Product is the Chepa. Chepa is the product. They mean the same. Impermanent phenomena, functional things, product, they all mean the same. Okay. Now let us explain with respect to functional things, meaning that first of the two things we will pick up the functional things. Of the two, which two? Functional and non-functional, we'll pick up the functional. For what? To explain emptiness, right? Functional. The functional things, impermanent phenomena, can be divided into three. What are they?
Form.
Physical form.
Mind and mental factors.
Mind, non-associated composition factors. Three. So, Sheba Teminduje. Form, mind, non-associated composition factors. Three. Right? Non-associated composition factors, we call it as the third category. In actuality, in a loose sense, we see only two. In a loose sense, not in a technical sense. In a loose sense, is two. Only the form and the mind. Okay, what examples can you think of non-associated composite phenomena? Impermanence. Impermanence of what? Of the flower. Flower is the physical form. Impermanence of my mind. My mind is physical form. Like this, anything which is tangible, right? Anything which is tangible, either is physical form or is the mind, right? Impermanence of the flower. Where's impermanence? Is it separate from the flower? No, the flower itself. You're getting it? It's just a characteristic of this flower. So this flower is a physical form, right? And the person I, this I is again the what? Non-associated composition factor, diminutive. This I. What is this I? I'm a boy. I'm a girl. So that is on the basis of my body. My body is physical form. And I'm kind. I'm not kind. I'm intelligent. I'm not intelligent. That is mental. It's mind. Again, we see even this what we call as the I, the self. We see that it boils down to the matter, physical form, and the mind. So in simple terms, in a loose sense, not going into the technicalities, in a loose sense, impermanent phenomena fall into these two categories. The what? Physical form and the mind. Okay, let's see. Let us explain with respect to the functional things first. The functional things are inclusively divided into the physical and the non-physical. Physical meaning of physical body, and non-physical is what? Mind and the non-associated composite factor. Okay, now here, applying the refutation as explained elsewhere of physical things and physical things that are directionally partless for the physical things. Other one, okay, eastern directionally partless, eastern directions and so forth, and of consciousness, non-physical, consciousness or the mind, non-physical, conscious, for the consciousness, non-physical consciousness that are temporarily partless. So our tantrikas prove that functional things necessarily have parts. Okay, you may get lost here, don't worry, I'm going to explain this now. Okay, let's say we have the impermanent functional things can be broken down into physical and non-physical. For the physical, we have the physical body. Physical body is made of atoms. You agree with me? Atoms. And atoms, which atoms? Atom on the east, atom on the west, north, south, top, down, right? Okay, atoms, one. For the mind is what? Temporal segments of the mind. Temporal segments, what do you mean by temporal segments of the mind? The mind, for example, I'm very happy today. I'm very happy today. What do you mean by happy today? 24 hours. I'm very happy. My mind is very happy for 24 hours. What do you mean by 24 hours? The mind of the first hour, the mind of the second hour. So I divided my mind not in terms of the temporal, not in terms of the directional parts. It's divided on the basis of the temporal parts. The first moment of the mind, the first hour mind, second hour mind, third hour mind, like this. Okay. Now we see that from this we see that with the physical, say this flower, we break into, say all these leaves, we split them apart, and each leaf, each petal, again we split them into two. The first part again we split into two. How, to what extent can we go? Till what extent can we go? We can go ad infinitum, which means that with the physical objects we can go ad infinitum, meaning that any physical object, however much you may divide this, the division will never come to an end. We will keep seeing things divisible. You're getting it? Which means that with the physical objects, there's always with its own parts. You will never find something which is partless. You will never come across a point where the physical objects has you will come to a point of a very tiny physical object which is partless, which cannot be divided any further. Right? In this connection, what I'd like to share with you is the distinguishing the two things, making distinction between the two things: partless particle and the indivisible particles. Partless particles and the indivisible particles. What I would say is that these two, it is my personal choice. It is my personal choice to make a distinction between these two things in order to avoid many of the complications. Right? Same physics. Physics, as of now, they have found the quarks as the subtlest particle. Quarks meaning electrons, the size of the electron, the quarks, and this is the finest, the particle which is discovered, right? Finest particle. Now, so this one, so we have not really found subtler than this particle through physics. We have not found a subtle particle than this. And the Buddhist philosophy says that there is no partless particle. However tiny a particle is, we can still split that into two. But physics is saying that we have come to a point where thus far we cannot split any further. So this physics is talking about at the maximum, physics is talking about at the maximum. Physics is talking about indivisible particles. They are not talking about partless particles, right? Whereas Buddhism does not reject indivisible particles, Buddhism rejects partless particles. Buddhist philosophy, particularly mathematical philosophy, Chittamatra and mathematical philosophy, they don't reject indivisible particles. They are neutral. They are neutral. They are neutral about the indivisible particle or divisible particle. They are neutral, right? But what they reject is partless particle. So we are not to equate the two things, partless particles and the indivisible particles. And electron, for example, same. Electron, if for the next 1,000 years, if physics cannot split it into two, artificially or naturally, cannot split into two, then till that point, we have to say that we still cannot find the divisible electron, that the electron is divisible, right? Whereas it does not contradict the Buddhist philosophy of saying that there is no partless particles. So it doesn't mean, simply because something cannot be divided, it doesn't mean that it is a partless particle. That is, at most it can be indivisible particle, indivisible and partless. It cannot be divided further, but still it has many parts within, right? Many parts within. This is a distinction that I like to make in order to avoid unnecessary the complications, and because of which it hampers our understanding of emptiness. Oh, physics has not found this. This is just a theology. This is just say the philosophy, abstract philosophy. So then it hampers. Finally, our negative emotions must be under control. So for that, the philosophy, in the subtlest form, our negative emotions can be controlled only by the philosophy of emptiness. If anything hampers us from cultivating this wisdom of emptiness, that is a great disadvantage for us. It's a great obstacle. So therefore, to avoid this unnecessary obstacle, so I make this distinction: indivisible particles versus partless particles. What Buddhism rejects is the partless particles, not necessarily indivisible. Okay. So this is with the physical. Now the point, this is very important. This is very important. Only when somebody thinks about the ontological reality, as to what constitutes the ontological reality, what is really there from the object, what is really there, this question, what is really there, you are looking for the ontological reality. What is really there, you are looking for the ontological reality, right? Okay, so when you look for this, when you seriously think about it, okay, there's a flower there, this is not a mind, this is a physical matter. If it truly exists, then we know that this is made of millions of cells. Millions of cells, if it is a real flower. It's made of millions of cells, and the cells are made of the cell membrane, cytoplasm, and the nucleus. And the nucleus is made of chromosomes, and then the other parts also. The chromosomes made of the RNA, DNA molecules, and these DNA molecules are made of the atoms, and the atoms are made of electrons, protons, so forth. Okay, so you go like this, keep going like this, then the electrons are not the flower. Yes, 100%. Still, how can you say the flower exists ontologically? Ontologically, the flower exists as real. I'm going to say this. There's nothing really there. You go go towards the ontological, the reality there, we just end up seeing the electrons, protons, and so forth. Where's the flower? Never mind. The flowers is not findable there, but it still ontologically exists as truly, because these electrons, protons which finally found, these particles, they are the partless particles. So although the flower has parts, because of which we cannot locate a flower there amongst the atoms, but when we come to the atoms and sub-elemental particles, electrons, protons, so forth, these electrons on that level, it is partless. So therefore something is there which we can point to, that is the one which exists ontologically real, right? So anything which is made of this, millions of these things put together, then the flower exists as real. This is their position. So therefore, many of the philosophers who believe in intrinsic reality, who believe in true existence, they are compelled to believe in partless particles in order to defend the belief system that things exist truly. Right? Okay, one. Now, Chittamatra. Right? Not only Chittamatra, the Sautandra school, the lower schools, I would say more the lower schools, say the mind, what we have is physical, what we have is the mind. And the mind, does it exist truly? Okay, same, you split the mind into two parts, the first moment, second moment, and the mind be split into three, first moment, beginning, middle and end, 3 moments, and the beginning also you split into 3, beginning, middle and end, you keep dividing like this. When will you come to a point where the mind cannot be temporally divided any further? So the Sautandra school, Sautandra below Chittamatra, they say that finally you come to a temporarily partless moment of the mind. That is a substance we cannot divide it any further. This is they believe to defend their position that things exist truly. Okay, so that way now what is being done is that for the physical objects you break this into parts and prove that with the physical there's no partless particle, and with the mental you break this into small temporal parts and prove that there's no mind which is temporally partless. You're getting it? Okay. Okay. This is the conviction that we must gain. Okay. Before the mind, we go to the physical part. For example, this table we break into two. The first part, again we break into two. Keep breaking this into two like this. Okay. Imagine that we come to a point, we just we create a hypothesis. Finally, although the table does not exist as something concretely there, but the constituencies of the table, right? The particles, the parts. There's a finest part in the form of the particles, and there's the finest particle. We can say create a hypothesis that it is a partless particle. Finally, we'll find a particle which cannot be divided further. Okay, so unless you reject this partless particles, the belief in true existence cannot be rejected. Belief in true existence cannot be rejected until we are able to reject partless particles, right? With the belief, for example, say, oftentimes when you talk about emptiness, okay, where are you? You are just the 6 elements, none of the 6 elements is you. Then some people, they invariably come with the second question. Although the person disappears, but the 6 elements are there, right? So that is the truly existent phenomenon. This is oftentimes what people ask the question, which means that as long as you see something there to be pointed to as something concrete which cannot be divided further, that we believe as objective real or truly real. As long as we have this belief, rejection of true existence is cannot be fully done, without which understanding emptiness cannot be accomplished fully. So our job is what? First thing that we have to do is, with the physical part, we have to reject the partless particles. With the mind, we have to reject the partless moments of the mind. You're getting it, this is a job. Okay, if you do it, and then next Sunday we come, you have to explain that to me. How the partless particle can be rejected. Okay, of the two, we'll go to the first one, physical part, and then once you get this very solid, crystal clear understanding, you can easily apply this to the mind. It's not a difficult thing. You getting it? Okay. I don't know which of the three clocks are correct. All three are different. Okay, somebody's mobile.
7:47.
7:47. Okay, 7:47. Okay, 7:47. Okay, say questions. Any questions? One or two questions? Okay, Biala.
According to Svatantrika Madhyamika, when they, for example, look for the flower in the ultimate domain,
Yes, yes.
it is, they don't find it.
Yes.
Because nothing exists without the power of the mind. So there is no flower
Nothing exists
without the power of the mind.
with, okay, nothing exists without the power of the mind. Yes.
So they don't find the flower ultimately.
Yes.
And so for them, everything is conventionally existent. Nothing is ultimately existent.
Yes.
Because the mind plays the role. It's intuitive.
Yes. So for them, nothing exists ultimately. When you subject the flower to ultimate analysis, the flower disappears. You can find the flower. So just as the flower disappears, you subject any phenomena to the same analysis. Okay, this is little, say, after the completion of this section, this question. But keep in mind that those who are already aware, those who are not, those who think, oh, what is this? This we never discussed here in this class. Don't worry, this is what is to be done later on. But those who already, there are many of us here who already are aware of this question. So for them, that it is not just exclusively Prasangika. Many of the presentations are very similar between the two. What is the difference is the object of negation. Depending on how you identify object of negation, then that tells you. So whether your understanding corresponds to Prasangikas or corresponds to Svatantra Madhyamika. So the question is that when we subject the flower to ultimate analysis, the flower disappears. Which means the flower does not exist ultimately. If the flower does not exist ultimately, yet it exists, only option left is that it exists conventionally. If that were the case, then everything should be existing conventionally, even according to Svatantra Madhyamika. Answer is yes. So this is common between Svatantra Madhyamika and Prasangika. You getting it? Okay.
So the only difference is the measure is different.
The only measure is identifying the object of negation. Once you identify the object of negation well, whether according to Svatantra Madhyamika, Prasangika, then what you have identified object of negation, when you're able to reject that successfully, then you get the, say, the philosophy or the emptiness according to that particular school. So it entirely depends on how you identify the object of negation. Okay, any more questions? Okay, yes, Dibishla.
Gishla, quick question, page 96.
Yes.
Where the explanation starts, it mentions Svatantrika's uncommon mode of refutation. Is there a common mode of refutation?
Okay. Let's say Svatantra Madhyamikas say, if you say that, okay, refute true existence, right? If I say that, okay, refute true existence, then you will understand emptiness. So this is common between Svatantra Madhyamika and Prasangika. But something so unique of Svatantra Madhyamika, which Prasangika will not accept, that becomes the Svatantra Madhyamika's uncommon refutation. Any more questions? Okay, seems like this has really become technical. Okay, Dibeshla, you have more questions? Please, please, please. Dibeshla, yes.
Gishla, we had a group discussion today
And Tanzila was supposed to ask, but he's not asking, so I am asking the question.
Yes.
So, what?
Who? Tenzin Shudunla or Tenzin Jordanla?
Jordanla.
Yes.
Tenzin Jordanla. That when the example of rope and a snake is given by Prasangika, and the pebbles and twigs appearing as horses and elephant, there is huge amount of similarity between the two.
Yes.
I mean, if we take a point of view of Prasangika, they can also posit the example of the magical illusion. And even Swatantrika Madhyamika can use the example of rope and appearing as a snake.
Yeah.
So, what is the specific
difference,
or what are the specific points that Prasangika is using from the rope appearing as a snake, which Swatantrika Madhyamika cannot posit?
Wonderful. Okay, after Swatantra Madhyamika, then comes the Prasangika. You getting it? So there's one section from the author, again, author of the commentary, one section precisely from the Prasangika will be, you have to read this verse, Jordanla, you have to read that part, Prasangika part. Where is that? Okay. Prasangika part is coming 97, page 97, just okay. After this, then the Prasangika. Okay, no hurry. But read that, and then you will see the force, something very forceful, from the author's side, right, which indicates that his experience of emptiness. How he related this to the Prasangika pertaining to the rope and the snake. Right? Okay, any more questions? Okay, we'll stop here then. Ajila, you have a question?
Again, Gisela, I think in our group discussion, the term in general, the basis of conjuring does not appear as a horse or elephant. This is page 94.
Yes.
So we were really struggling to really understand.
Okay.
The expression in general.
Page 94.
This is page 94.
Yes. Page 94, which line?
This is para 1, 2, 3, 4 from the bottom. And line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fifth line.
What is that? How do you read it?
When, for example, that para.
When, for example, yes.
Yeah, from here, when we come to, however, it is not suitable to say that similarly, when a basis of conjuring appears as a horse or elephant, the appearance as a horse or elephant is only in the perspective of the mistaken consciousness. This is okay, we could understand that.
Yeah.
But then it is said that, but in general, the basis of conjuring does not appear as a horse or elephant. What is this in general means? What is the context?
This is very important. Okay, there's one, the Tibetan language, how the Tibetan language works, how the English language works is very different. Tibetan, you won't believe, whole one page can be one sentence. English, whole one page, one sentence is terrible, right? So therefore there is a very long sentence because of the Tibetan language borrowed into English, subject matter plus the language, both are borrowed. Right? So therefore, it's not this subject problem, it is a language problem, translation problem. If possible, always to be done, somebody who is a scholar in Tibetan philosophy, Tibetan language, with a command of English, should do the translation. One. After doing this, give it to a natural English speaker, right? Speaker, to break the sentences into smaller pieces, right? So this part is missing here. It's a very long sentence, right? Okay. So the point is that say the point is that it says that, okay, the twigs, okay, don't read it, first don't read it, listen to me. If you understand this, you have understood this. The twigs and the pebbles, the consecrated twigs and the pebbles, they appear as elephants and horses. Okay, now I explained this earlier, right? I explained that. If I bring it up, you will remember it. One, that there are two ways of saying this. The elephant, the twigs and the pebbles appear as elephants and horses to the defective eyes. One. Number two, consecrate the pebbles and the twigs appear as elephants and horses without qualifying with the defective eyes. Which of them is correct? Huh? First one is correct, not the second one. When I say which is correct, it can be, both can be correct, both can be wrong, one can be correct, one can be wrong. Tell me. My question is, okay, say if I tell you that we see the robe as a snake, right? Oh, there's a snake there. Tell me. Robe is snake to my eyes. Yes, no?
Yes.
I'm seeing the robe as a snake. Robe is snake to my eyes. But the robe is snake not generally. You getting it? In general sense, a robe is not a snake. Which means robe being a snake is not true. General means it's not true. Robe being a snake is not true. But robe being a snake to my eyes is true. You getting it? Now, the robe appears as snake in the night. The robe appears. I'm not saying the robe is snake in the night. I do not say this. Now the second statement I'm saying, the robe appears as snake in the night. Sometimes. Yes? I do not say that robe appears as snake in the night sometimes to our defective eyes. This is not what I'm saying. I'm saying general. Robes can appear as snake in the nights. Correct or not correct? Robes are snakes in the night sometimes. Incorrect. Robes can appear as snake in the night sometimes. That's correct. Okay. So, which is correct? Robes can appear as snake in the nights. Robes can appear as snake in the night to the defective eyes. Which of the two is correct? Both are correct. You getting it? So we don't have to say that the robes appear as snake to the defective eyes, even without qualifying defective eyes. In general, without qualifying this with the defective eyes, we can still say in general that in general meaning, without qualifying with the defective eyes, the robe can appear as snake in the nights. Likewise, the twigs and the pebbles can appear as horses and elephants. Yes, no? Right? One. Number two, twigs and the consecrated twigs and pebbles can appear as elephants or horses in the eyes of the defective eyes. Both are correct. Both are correct means the first one is also correct. Without being qualified with the defective eyes, even in general meaning, without qualifying this with the defective eyes, still that sentence can hold true. You're getting it? If you got it, now let us read this again, you'll get it. Okay, when for example a robe is mistaken for a snake, it is said that the robe is a snake in the perspective of the consciousness, but in general, the robe is not a snake. You get it? Next, however, it is not suitable to say that. It is not suitable to say not. This you have to apply to all the way down. It's not suitable to say when a base of conjuring appearance, meaning pebbles and the twigs, appear as a horse or elephant. Appearance as a horse or elephant is only in the perspective of the mistaken consciousness only meaning you have to qualify this with the mistaken consciousness. If you don't qualify the mistaken consciousness, then you cannot say that it does not appear as the elephant's horses. Is it true or not? Can you still say this or not say this? Even without being qualified, you can say this. Which means that elephant is only in the perspective of mistaken consciousness, but in general the basis of conjuring does not appear as a horse and elephant. This is what? But in general, the basis of conjuring does not appear as a horse or elephant. So this, earlier what you said is what? It is not suitable. You apply this down. It is not suitable to say in general that the basis of conjuring elephant is only in the perspective of mistaken consciousness. Right? You getting it? This is just the very long English. It's a language. Yes, Bishla?
Geshe, in relation to this only, the confusion that probably I created in the group discussion was that in today's world, people don't understand the difference between illusion and magical trick. So let's say in general, if first time I also came, I did not know the difference before the teachings. So if I ask people who have never seen an illusion, and I ask them in general, can pebbles and twigs appear as elephants? And they will say no. But if I ask them, can a rope appear as a snake? In general, they will say yes.
That's true.
So in that context, can we interpret this stanza like this also, or that would be incorrect?
Perfect. It's perfect. You can apply say in general, the rope can appear as snake. The analogy given here is not with the rope appearing as snake. Analogy given is with the rope being a snake. Rope being a snake is true for the mistaken eye consciousness. It's not true in general. Right? But now we can, if the illusion part, if people confuse, then we can make it easy. Instead of saying that rope being a snake in general, rope appearing as a snake in general, of the two, the second one is correct, the first one is wrong. Yeah. Okay, any more confusions? Madhuji, yes.
This para in reality is posited as existing through the force of awareness to which it appears.
Yes.
Can we understand that a bit more?
Meaning that everything that exists should exist by the power of the mind, power of the awareness. And reality, which is emptiness. Emptiness, ultimate reality, is no exception. Ultimate reality also exists by the power of mind.
So we're talking about emptiness as ultimate.
Yes, emptiness is ultimate reality. Emptiness or ultimate reality also exists by the power of the mind.
And then it says.
And you may ask me how.
Yes.
This will come later.
Because it says there's not an exception to being positive as conventionally existed.
Yes, so therefore even emptiness exists conventionally. Even emptiness is conventionally existent. It is not ultimately existent. Why? Nothing exists ultimately. Nothing exists as ultimate existent. Okay. Ankitla?
Clarification is here in this paragraph which we are discussing, is mistaken consciousness wrong consciousness in both the cases, or is it is mistaken consciousness only?
Which one?
The paragraph which we are discussing, for example, when rope is mistaken for a snake.
Both are correct. It's applicable to the mistaken as well as to the deceptive. Let's say that there is let's say now is very easy. Say the movie with a snake in the movie, right? It's so real, right? The picture of the snake, the real picture of a snake, 3D picture of a snake, which is so real. And then the person who created this knows that this is not a snake, but to his eyes it still appears as a snake, right? So the snake for somebody like us going there, oh, there's a snake there. So the picture of the snake is a snake to the deceptive mind like us. Picture of the snake is a snake to the eyes of the person who created this picture of the snake. To the eyes. So that is more technically. Not to the mental consciousness, because he knows that this is not a snake. But to the eyes, yes. Right? So it can be applicable to the deceptive as well as to the mistaken mind. Both is fine. Yeah. Okay. More questions? If not, we will do the end direction prayer. Okay, 278. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful generous say, Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Kare rave gorve shingamzo, pendan dewa manu chumbene, chere zenwa Tenzin Gyatso ye, shabe sede pardo tengyuroji. Just as brave Manjushri and Samanthabhadra too realize things as they are. Also, I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. Chambe Bhava Chedara Kemba Dam Kundo Sambo Ten Deshin Dado Jen Gewa Deda Tamje Rabdo. I dedicate all these rules of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by the victorious ones, thus gone of the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. Duzum Jebe Yawa Tamje Ge Ngowa Kala Chodo Ngobai Age Geve Zawa Digunya Sambo Jeje Rabdo Ngowaragi. May the Supreme Bodhicitta, there is no rise and grow, and may that which is arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. Chanjo Semjo Remboche Age Banam Ge Gyoroje Ge Bayanyamba Mebayang Tondo Pebaraisho. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into the enlightened state. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization that deeds in the prayers of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 3 times and to the upholding of Dharma of teaching and realization. May I know all lives through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect view, and the 2 stages. With a wish to free all pains, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. The path of union of emptiness and compassion is lucidly explained by the protector of both the Dharma and the beings of the student. You are the lotus holder, Tenzin Gyatso. We supplicate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. Onye Nyenje Zondo Jobelam, Chejire Zelze Kanje Tendrug, Tana Bemo Tenzin Gyatso La, Soa Devso Shendun Nundru Shu. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans or non-humans who harbor prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be totally vanquished through the power of the truth of the 3 jewels. Golam Lobe Yawe Tembala, Kuwe Najo Sujin Sumed, Sobjung Ember Juba Maduba, Chosum Dembe Sene Chugurochi. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages and the paths, may quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may always be guided by Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings of dependent origination in particular, even at the cost of my life.